You say you want money. But what you really want is freedom, security, power, to finally stop pretending. But here's the truth. Nobody admits. Money doesn't fix the fear. It just makes it quieter, until it gets louder again, until you have everything and still feel like nothing. Carl Jung warned us. He believed that what most people call ambition is really an unconscious search for self-worth. Not wealth, wholeness, not luxury, identity. And money becomes the mask. Let's get honest, Mawa. How much of your life has been shaped by money? Not just the lack of it, but the belief that once you have finally get it, you'll feel safe, valid, real. It starts small. Once I earn enough, I'll rest. Once I get promoted, I'll feel proud. Once I buy that, I'll finally be someone. But that finish line keeps moving, and no one tells you that the chase comes at a cost. Your peace, your presence, your identity. Jung believed that modern people aren't materialistic because they love money. They're materialistic because they've lost connection to the inner world. And when the soul goes quiet, we start worshiping substitutes, wealth, status, luxury, followers, appearances. And we convince ourselves that these are signs of worth, that the more we have, the more we are. But deep down, you know it isn't working. You still feel behind, still feel anxious, still wonder, is this really all there is? Carl Jung wouldn't tell you to stop wanting money. He'd ask you, who taught you to measure yourself this way? Who taught you that net worth equals self-worth? Who taught you that burnout equals success? Who taught you that sacrifice equals virtue? Because money isn't evil. It's a mirror. And most people are terrified of what it reflects, that their life isn't theirs, that their job is survival, not expression, that their dreams were replaced with tasks, that they've been trading time for identity. You weren't born craving millions. You were born craving meaning. Money became the shortcut, because money buys symbols. A house equals safety. A brand equals belonging. A number equals status. A vacation equals escape. A partner equals validation. But these are just projections, not peace, not purpose, not power. Jung believed that if you don't do the inner work, money will only amplify your emptiness. So let me ask you something uncomfortable, Mawa. Who would you be without money? Not broke, just detached from the need to prove yourself through it. Would you still chase the same goals? Would you still work the same job? Would you still surround yourself with the same people? Would you even recognize the person you've become? Because money doesn't just buy things. It buys personas. It turns survival into performance. And one day, you wake up, surrounded by what you worked so hard to afford, and feel completely disconnected from your soul. Jung saw this coming. He believed that the more we chase the external world, the more we neglect the internal one. And when that neglect goes on too long, your psyche splits. You feel restless. You feel numb. You keep upgrading your life, but downgrading your connection to it. And that's the tragedy. You've gained everything, except yourself. So what does money actually represent? It's not just currency. It's energy. And energy always flows somewhere. If your energy is constantly flowing into status, into comparison, into approval, then you're not spending money. Money is spending you. And Jung would tell you, the part of you addicted to more is the part that never got to feel enough. This isn't about guilt. It's about reclamation. Because when you finally stop chasing what you were taught to want, you hear something else. The voice you buried. The one that said, I don't care about being rich. I want to feel alive. I don't want to hustle forever. I want to rest. I don't want more things. I want more me. That's your true self speaking. The one beneath the metrics, the hustle, the fear. The one who knows money is a tool, but it was never supposed to be your identity. Carl Jung would tell you, the world will ask you who you are, and if you don't know, it will tell you. And today, the world tells you that you are what you earn, what you buy, what you post, what you wear, what you look like while doing it. And the more you believe it, the more your soul goes silent, until you stop and realize that the number you're chasing can't answer the question that's haunting you. Who am I without it? Nobody is born greedy. Nobody is born obsessed with brands, banks, or follower counts. You were taught to measure your value in numbers. And Carl Jung believed that behind every obsession with money, there's a psychic wound, a quiet belief etched deep in the unconscious. If I don't have enough, I'm not enough. That belief isn't rational. It's emotional programming, installed in childhood, reinforced by culture, and rarely questioned. And the most dangerous part? It doesn't live in your thoughts. It lives in your shadow. Let's start at the beginning, Mawa. You're a child. You feel things deeply. You speak your truth freely. You're alive in the moment. But soon, you start hearing, that's too expensive. We can't afford that. Money doesn't grow on trees. Be grateful. Don't ask for more. Do well in school if you want to make something of yourself. These aren't just phrases. They're scripts. And each one quietly teaches you desire is dangerous. Value is earned, not given. Your worth is conditional. Don't be a burden. That's where the fracture begins. You start hiding parts of yourself. You become the high achiever, the hard worker, the one who doesn't ask for much, the one who performs excellence so no one sees the fear underneath. And that fear says, if I fail, I'll be nothing. If I don't produce, I don't matter. If I'm not needed, I'll be left behind. Money becomes your armor, your ticket to safety, your proof that you're doing okay. And the more disconnected you feel inside, the more addicted you become to that external evidence. Jung called this the shadow complex, the repressed parts of the self that you've disowned. But here's the twist. The shadow isn't just made of trauma. It's made of unlived potential. So when you're chasing money, you might not actually be chasing money. You might be chasing the freedom to be yourself without fear of being punished, judged, or abandoned. Let's say you obsess over luxury. You want the watches, the cars, the penthouse, but deep down, you don't feel powerful. So you wear power. You drive it. You post it. You try to become it. But it never lasts, because you're not trying to express yourself. You're trying to escape yourself. And escaping your shadow always leads to more suffering. Or maybe you hoard money. You save obsessively. You can't relax, even when you're secure. You fear losing everything. That's not about greed. That's about inner scarcity, a wound that says, if I don't control everything, I'll be helpless again. That's your childhood fear, still running your adult life. This is why Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. You don't hate money. You hate the way it makes you feel exposed. Because every financial trigger is a doorway to a deeper truth. If wealth makes you arrogant, maybe you were humiliated as a child. If success makes you numb, maybe you were only loved when you performed. If ambition feels empty, maybe you're chasing someone else's dream. If generosity feels unsafe, maybe you were taught to protect, not connect. These aren't financial problems. They're identity fractures, and money simply reveals them. Jung believed that the modern psyche is fragmented because we live in a society of performance. We don't ask, what do I value? We ask, what will make me look valuable? So we build lives made of illusions, titles we hate, goals we never chose, things we don't need, people we can't trust, hustles we resent, and we smile, we post, we grind. We call it success. But at night, we feel the truth rising from the unconscious. This isn't me. And that's the gift of the shadow. It doesn't lie. It doesn't perform. It doesn't care how many followers you have, how much money you make, or how respected you are. It only wants one thing: wholeness. And it will wreck your career, relationships, or plans if it has to, just to get your attention. So how do you break the cycle? You start by asking dangerous questions. What would I do if money wasn't a factor? Who would I be if I stopped performing? What parts of me have I exiled to fit in? Where am I spending money to avoid feeling something deeper? Because this isn't about becoming rich. It's about becoming real. Money is not the villain. It's the magnifier. If you are whole, money supports your purpose. If you are divided, money becomes your addiction. That's why so many wealthy people feel suicidal. They followed the world's script and lost their soul in the process. We cannot change anything unless we accept it. Condemnation does not liberate. It oppresses. So this isn't about shaming your financial story. It's about reclaiming the parts of you that were stolen by shame. Because once you bring your shadow to light, you stop needing money to prove anything. You don't spend to feel superior. You don't hustle to feel worthy. You got the job. You made the money. You posted the wins. You got the apartment, the car, the upgrade. And still, when you lay in bed at night, you feel like something's wrong. It's not depression. It's not anxiety. It's the cost of becoming someone you're not, just to survive a system you never questioned. Carl Jung warned that when your persona, the mask you wear for the world, gets too far from yourself, who you really are inside, you'll experience a slow psychological breakdown, but it won't look like collapse. It will look like success. You'll still show up. You'll still smile. You'll still produce. But deep inside, you'll feel numb, disconnected, imposter-like, unfulfilled, lonely, tired, for no reason. Because you've been spending your entire life, energy, chasing what you were told to want, not what actually fulfills you. And the longer you wear the mask, the more real it becomes, until even you can't remember who's underneath. This is the unseen consequence of chasing money with no awareness. You don't just lose time, you lose truth. You stop knowing what joy feels like. You start mistaking productivity for purpose. You silence the voice inside that whispers, "This isn't it." You perform stability while your inner world crumbles, and no one sees it, because you're doing great. That's what makes it so dangerous, Mawa. This isn't the pain of failure. This is the pain of succeeding at the wrong thing. And Jung said this is exactly what the psyche can't tolerate: living in contradiction, being admired outwardly while collapsing inwardly. The soul starts screaming, not with noise, but with disconnection. You start feeling hollow in moments that should feel joyful. You get praised and feel nothing. You hit a new income goal, but your body feels heavier. You look successful, but you're spiritually malnourished. Because your life is built on external metrics, and your soul doesn't speak that language. Jung believed the modern obsession with money was a compensation for a deeper hunger, the hunger to feel whole. But wholeness can't be bought. It can't be posted. It can't be calculated. It must be remembered. And that remembering often begins when everything you built starts to feel like a lie. Let's go deeper. When you chase money for too long without consciousness, you don't just lose your authenticity. You begin to see yourself as a product. You don't ask, "What do I love?" You ask, "What sells?" You don't ask, "Who am I becoming?" You ask, "What's the ROI?" You start turning your emotions into content, your passion into performance, your soul into strategy. You become a brand, and slowly, a stranger to yourself. You may even start resenting your success. You'll dread the work you used to dream about. You'll avoid rest because it feels like failure. You'll compare your progress constantly. You'll feel guilty for not being grateful. That's not ambition. That's identity burnout. It means you've sacrificed authenticity for achievement. And that's the worst kind of spiritual bankruptcy. Jung believed the consequence of this burnout is shadow eruption. Your repressed self comes back in destructive ways. Self-sabotage, addiction, cynicism, sudden rage, emotional withdrawal, abandoning everything without warning. Not because you're reckless, but because your real self is trying to escape the prison you built. A prison made of approval, expectations, and illusion. And society won't save you, because society profits from your disconnection. If you hate yourself, you'll buy more. If you feel behind, you'll hustle harder. If you feel unseen, you'll post endlessly. If you feel unworthy, you'll perform until you collapse. This system needs you to stay hungry, but never satisfied. And the saddest part? We think this is normal. We call it grind culture. We call it leveling up. We call it the price of greatness. But it's not greatness. It's spiritual dissociation. And it's costing you your life. So what's the answer? The first step is not to quit your job, burn your goals, or hate money. It's to pause and listen to the voice beneath all the noise, the one that says, "I don't need more. I need meaning. I don't want to look successful. I want to feel alive. I don't want to be admired. I want to be free." that voice is not weak. It's your real identity waking up. Jung would say, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And if chasing money has taken you away from that, then no amount of income, influence, or accolades will ever fill that void. Because it was never about money. It was always about meaning. You don't have to hate money to heal. You just have to stop worshiping it. Because it was never your God. It was your mirror. And now it's time to stop staring into it and start looking within. Carl Jung didn't tell us to give up ambition. He told us to give up the lie that you are what you earn, that your peace is a number, that your joy is a brand, that your worth is a spreadsheet. That is not success. That's survival, dressed as status. And you're finally ready to walk away from it. So how do you break free? Not with rebellion, not with guilt, but with conscious reclamation. Because the real work is not financial. It's psychic. You must stop letting the world define your value and start defining it for yourself. 1. Redefine success. Ask yourself, what if success is peace? What if success is waking up without dread? What if success is spending your energy on things you actually care about? Jung believed the psyche seeks wholeness, not performance. If your outer life doesn't match your inner values, you will always feel split. So define success from the inside out. Let it be deep relationships, creative freedom, emotional safety, presence, spiritual aliveness. These don't trend, but they heal you. 2. Reconnect with desire. Strip away what you were taught to want, the money, the lifestyle, the applause, and ask, what do I really want? Not what your parents wanted, not what social media told you, not what your younger self thought success looked like, but what your soul wants now. That answer might scare you, because it won't always be profitable, but it will be pure. And purity is more valuable than gold. 3. Spend consciously. Money is energy, and energy must flow with intention. Every purchase, every investment, every job. Ask yourself, does this nourish my true self or distract me from it? Use money to build freedom, not identity. Spend on education that expands your mind, environments that restore you, people who reflect your truth, tools that bring you home. Stop buying to fill the void. Start spending to build alignment. 4. Integrate the shadow. You can't heal your money story until you face your emotional inheritance. Ask yourself, where did your money anxiety begin? What were you taught about rich people? Who made you feel small for wanting more? When did you start believing struggle equals virtue? Bring those wounds into the light. Speak the truths you were taught to hide. Reclaim the parts of you that were silenced. Because once your shadow is integrated, you no longer need money to protect your shame. You can use it to express your wholeness. 5. Choose soul over status. Every decision has 2 roads. The one that makes you look good, the one that feels true. Jung said that individuation, the process of becoming your true self, requires sacrifice. You will lose people. You will lose approval. You may even lose the version of you that everyone loved. But in return, you gain yourself. And once you have that, you can never be poor again. There's a moment in every spiritual journey when you realize you don't want more. You want real. You don't want money. You want meaning. You want mornings that feel light. Work that feels like contribution. Relationships that feel like soul. A life that feels like home. That's what this is really about. Mawa. This is not about renouncing the world. It's about no longer letting the world define you. Because you were never meant to chase money to feel valuable. You were meant to remember. You are the value. You're the source. You're the investment. You're the return. And the moment you see that clearly, you stop playing a game that was never designed for your freedom. You build your own system, on your own terms, for your own soul. That's not rebellion. That's liberation. Carl Jung once wrote, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." But terrifying doesn't mean wrong. It means real. And maybe that's the ultimate wealth. To be so whole, you don't need the world to recognize you, because you've already recognized yourself. Comment below. I don't want more. I want real. Let's see how many are done chasing and ready to come home. If this video made something click in your heart, like it. Comment what it unlocked. Subscribe to Psychatic. And if it truly moved you, consider sending a super thanks to keep this message alive. You were never meant to feel empty in a world full of noise. You were meant to wake up,